we need to add in polyatomic ions. This is a group of two or more atoms chemically bound together that act as one ion. Sulfate is an example. This is a single ion made of one sulfur and 4 oxygen atoms covalently bound together. This whole thing has a charge of -2. When writing formulas with polyatomic ions, remember this ion is a single object with a formula SO4. For example, to write the formula for the compound between potassium and sulfate, we're going to use crisscrossing the same as we did before. The understood number 1 charge of potassium will be the subscript of sulfate, and the number 2 from sulfate will become the subscript over here, giving us the formula K2SO4. With regards to polyatomic ions, all but 1 are negative ions. All but 2 of those negative ions end with ITE or ATE, and that's the part of the name that tells you a polyatomic ion is present. Compounds with a monatomic anion, remember that's an ion of a nonmetal on the periodic table, they have the IDE ending. For example, sodium nitrate with the ATE ending contains a polyatomic ion, while on the other hand, sodium nitride with the IDE ending contains the ion form of the element nitrogen. That ending is all that tells you that a polyatomic ion is present. Sodium nitrate then is NaNO3, sodium nitride is Na3N. Of course, there's 2 exceptions to this normal ending system. The polyatomic ions hydroxide and cyanide, they end with IDE, so just memorize those 2 exceptions. Try writing the following formulas. If it's a representative element, you have to look up its charge. If it's a polyatomic ion, you will have to have its charge, as well as its formula, memorized, and you'll crisscross like we've been doing. After crisscrossing, lithium phosphate is Li3PO4. Aluminum nitrate, Al parentheses NO3 close parentheses 3. Remember that when you have to have multiple polyatomic ions, you put the formula in parentheses and you put the number outside of parentheses. Magnesium hydroxide is MgOH parentheses 2. Don't forget the parentheses on OH. If you didn't have the parentheses there, it would say that there was 1 O and 2 H's, and that's not true. Calcium carbonate, CaCO3. And ammonium chloride, that contains that ammonium ion, that's our 1 positive polyatomic ion, so that's NH4Cl. Next, try writing the names for these compounds. As soon as you see more than 2 elements, know that you have a polyatomic ion present. Find that polyatomic ion, figure out the name of it, because you've memorized it, and use that in the name. Again, all but 1 polyatomic ion is a negative ion. So when you see KClO3, K is 1 ion, ClO3 is the other ion. And the name for that is potassium chlorate. NaOH, sodium hydroxide. Al2SO43 is aluminum sulfate. CuNO3 is copper 2 nitrate. Did you remember the Roman numeral for copper? You've always got to include a Roman numeral when there's a transition metal present. Polyatomic ion doesn't change that. Lastly, FeOH3 is iron 3 hydroxide.